GenXCynics cast. We're going to get ready to get this fired up. We're going to send out the tweet just in case some of y'all want to join us. But this is going to be a shorter format this week. It's just a review of some stuff we watched. And, just have some fun. I'm one of the hosts, Kalari Gamer Chick, along with... yes.
I am not really here. I'm her imaginary friend.
Mm-hmm. And this mess of a man is Axiom Wolf. Welcome to the cast. So we're going to talk today about some amazing things and just share some of the things we heard from friends who have also seen this movie. Now, if you have not seen Suicide Squad or watched Harley Quinn, the HBO series, and you don't want spoilers, wow. This is probably not going to be the show for you today. Where are you going? Oh, okay. I think the teen is asleep, so. But either way, yeah, he's a teenager. Even in the middle of the day, they like to pass out. But if you haven't seen the movie or the shows, we're probably going to spoil a lot of stuff for you. So you might want to tune this one out and watch it later. We will upload it to my YouTube this week, so that's where you can catch this. But I'm excited to talk about Suicide Squad. Why? Because I didn't think I was going to like it. Because I came from that's flipping back and forth. I came, sound alerts is offline. Hey, Baylor, welcome to the chat. But, what are you doing, dear?
Being a distraction.
Stop. Anyhow, the thing is, with the original Suicide Squad, I didn't like it. I could go on for hours, but basically the plot didn't make sense. The Joker, the guy who they got to play, Jared Leto, was not my favorite Joker. Just none of it worked at all. They were trying too hard to do the magic that James Gunn had with what I felt this Suicide Squad. You can't just throw a bunch of random characters together and not make it make sense. And the villain they were fighting in 2016 didn't make sense for their level either. And I felt like a lot of people who wanted to rewrite the plot had a lot better ways of incorporating Suicide Squad and Joker that nobody wanted to pay attention to. So I went in with low expectations for this new one, even though I trust James Gunn now. And he did not disappoint. But one of the arguments that I was talking about with Axiom here was a lot of our friends was like, we didn't understand the Starro thing.
Starro was the best part of that.
Exactly. The problem I see is there's a lot of non-comic book fans watching these movies, so you don't understand the significance of having, iconic villains into the story. And what I was trying to explain to people without being one of those guys or girls and without coming across as a gatekeeper is they didn't throw Starro in for just anybody. That was a nod to those of us who have the comics. That was a nod to those of us who completely loved the whole idea of this alien sentient starfish coming down and battling the Justice League. And I felt like the plot made sense because even though somebody could bring up the same argument that, something that big and dangerous, they would have sent in the big guns. The fact that we were covering it up with our government and that poor being was being experimented on for the longest time, that made sense. And it made sense why Amanda Waller would send a bunch of disposable people to go fight and destroy, hopefully, Starro. Because even she probably didn't realize how far gone they got. It was just brilliant. I loved the whole idea of the Tinkerer being involved in it. Even though he looked like a Christmas ornament.
Yeah, he looked like an engine with a couple of spark plugs missing.
Exactly.
And if you guys don't want to go to the theater to see this, very simple, very cost-effective way to do this is sign up for HBO Max. This is not a plug for their services.
We're not sponsored.
We're not sponsored or anything like that. Just we don't want to go out and be near people right now, especially with that Delta variant just rip roaring everywhere. Even with the vaccine out, go online, HBO Max. It's $15 for a month, even just for a month. That is going to be cheaper than the price of a movie ticket, popcorn, and run the risk of going in there with someone that may or may not have COVID.
I mean, we literally went to Deadpool 2 and had a family in there with way too young. I mean,
Yeah.
pamper young kids in there and then let them eat off the floor. So
Yeah,
I'm not missing the
And
movie
all we
theater.
did is we have popcorn bowls that actually look like the popcorn old style dishes that you used to get.
Yeah.
We popped some popcorn. We grabbed some whatever we wanted to drink, soda, tea, whatever. We sat down. We watched it in the house. Comfort of our own home. We could pause it whenever we needed to. Get up, go to the bathroom, whatever. It didn't matter. And it was like, hey, you know what? New movie, and we're not putting ourselves at risk.
Yep.
So.
And for real, I feel like HBO Max has bought a lot of shows that we forgot about because it's been a while, and they've taken a lot of good Cartoon Network shows. So we're going to be binge watching a lot
What
of
did you
stuff.
see on there? Well, right now we're watching Impractical Jokers. They have the entire series on there. And yeah, you know what? This is turning into a plug for HBO Max. Go download it. I dare you.
Yeah.
I double dog dare you. I triple dog dare you. You know how many dogs you got? That's how many I dare you.
If you like any of the old Cartoon Network stuff, you're going to like that.
They have, what?
Fosters, Codename Kids Next Door,
yeah,
Billy and Mandy, all of those.
And I was just like, did HBO Max just become our new best friend?
Yeah.
I was like, because they have all the good shows that Cartoon Network was just like, we're done with these.
Yeah.
I'm not downloading your app.
Exactly. So if you want to watch the show we're going to review after we talk about Suicide Squad, HBO Max. But one of the things I liked about the way James Gunn directed this movie was he has a way of making you care about characters that you probably wouldn't have. I would trust this man to make Condiment King interesting, which is somebody I'm going to bring up later on. But he took Polka Dot Man, somebody who most of the time when you think of Batman's old rogues gallery, they're just people you want to make fun of or pity. But Polka Dot Man, not only did he make him sympathetic, but you wanted to root for him. And it was such a gut punch at the end for him that was just like, this dude made me care about a character that was so fucking obscure that you really have to be into the Bat series to even know who he is.
Yeah.
And then he made me like a rat, y'all. Now, I already love Rocket Raccoon. I loved him before the Guardians of the Galaxy. He's one of my favorite comic book to MCU characters. But to have him make me like an actual rat, being from New York, I'm not down with rodents. But Sebastian is the MVP. He outshined Idris Elba. You know how hard it is to outshine Idris Elba? The man could talk, and most women and most guys would drop drawers. But he got outshined by a rat. And y'all need Sebastian plushies. And I want a Funko Pop that is pro Sebastian. Now, I know they have Ratcatcher, and I liked her character too. I felt she was very sympathetic.
Yeah.
You know? But the whole Funko Pop focuses more on her, and then Sebastian's with her, and it's like, I just want Sebastian. Yeah, he was awesome.
They could do a close-up version of him for a Funko Pop. I mean,
yeah.
When you I was
put him in the hoodie.
I was trying to find Cal a Sebastian plush because she mentioned she wanted one, and all you get is the Little Mermaid crab.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I'm tired of companies leaving money on the table. And it's just like, how hard is no one in the drawing board thought, hey, let's make a bunch of these because they're probably going to be very popular?
Yeah. It's the same though. Funko Pop, I have submitted so many requests for the Wedding Day Garnet from Steven Universe. Take my idea. People will give you money for it.
Yeah. The same companies that are like, well, we're running out of stuff to make pops of, or we're running out of resources. Like, listen to your fans. The fans are going to tell you what they want to see, and then make it actually available to them. Don't just be like, oh, well, this is a convention exclusive during the pandemic where no one's going to go out and get it.
Exactly. And I love the fact that they reminded you, this movie, that they're not the good guys. They use anti-hero a lot, and I hate the word anti-hero because an anti-hero is still a hero that will get dirty jobs done. Wolverine is an anti-hero. One of my favorite X-Men comics has Wolverine saying, I am the X-Men that does all the dirty jobs that you guys don't want to get your hands dirty doing. That's why you have me on this team. I'm willing to kill.
Right.
If it's for the greater good. These guys are just bad guys. They're not anti-heroes. They're anti-villains, if you say anything.
Yeah, like none of these guys would have shown up to help these people out if they hadn't already been there.
Exactly. And even then, if they couldn't see what they could get out of it,
yeah.
more than likely they would have escaped. Now Harley, because we're going to get into that with the show later on, she's a different breed because she has been villainous, then anti-hero because she actually went towards trying to help Batman for a bit.
Right.
And now she's in this weird in-between, but she's made it quite clear that she doesn't really stand for anything but what's fun for her. So I feel like James Gunn really nailed their personalities. Her accent was finally tolerable.
Yeah, if you watch that first Suicide Squad movie, there's no accent. There's not even a hint of an accent. And if there is, it comes and it goes. Like she'll have it for one sentence and then it'll disappear.
Yeah.
This one, it's there.
It's more pronounced.
It's consistently there.
Yeah.
And like he must have just pulled her aside and said, "Listen, you have to get this accent right. This is one of the major complaints from the first movie is that you weren't talking like Harley Quinn talks."
Exactly.
And I'm not saying every Harley Quinn has to talk that way because,
but it's iconic at this point.
Yeah, if you're doing it, then you need to get somewhat close.
Commit. Tara Strong. I don't even think Tara Strong is originally from New York at all. I think
not.
I don't think that's where she originated from, and it's really not that hard to have a New York accent. If you're in New York for more than a day, you're going to talk like a New Yorker. And the thing is, what made Harley so special to me growing up, seeing the Batman animated series, was, she's from Canada.
And if she can do an accent
that sounds like she's straight out of Bensonhurst,
then
Margot Robbie should be
able to do the same accent. Like they should have just got those two together and just be like, you hang out with her until you talk exactly like her.
Exactly, because that's what made me love Harley Quinn. I was like, this bitch is batshit. She is just completely in love with the Joker. She was a PhD in psychology, but she sounded like somebody I went to school with. So it was like, I just fell in love with her character, and then to have her go through the motions and realize that her relationship was not only unstable but abusive and that she wanted better. I love the nod to that in Suicide Squad 2. She wants to find that one true love. And she knows she can't do it in psychopathic men. And I love that they gave her such an amazing array of scenes. She had the romance scene down, she had the fight scene down, and she had complete crazy bitch energy rocking.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I loved how, in her mind, everything's just flowers and birds, and she's fucking mowing people down. That is just like, James Gunn nailed her personality. And then just having them, grow as characters. And I know in movies, it's hard to see character development happen so quickly, but I felt like he got it. And I know a lot of people were complaining, well, Suicide Squad is copying Guardians of the Galaxy. Good. That's the only way you're going to get obscure heroes or villains to make sense.
Yeah.
And I like the blend of comedy James Gunn brings to
the thing that I thought was actually kind of funny was the fact that, like, everybody that was in the first movie, they're not going to be in the third movie.
No.
There
were a lot of deaths.
It was just like James Gunn going, okay, and I'm just going to erase this out.
Yep.
But it also showed that the Suicide Squad is just that. If you sign up for this mission, you are more than likely going to die.
Yeah. I like how they kept the fact that Amanda Waller, she is lawful evil as far as I'm concerned. She is willing to do whatever she can to get the job done. Even in the comics, and they made reference to it in the show we're about to talk about in our next review. She literally sends the Suicide Squad to get a mystic pack keeping her out of hell. because she knows the things she's done has been completely
I can't
evil.
remember which it was. One of the animated ones.
Yeah.
And it came up in one of the advertisements, and I'd seen it. Cal hadn't, and I was like, I remember that because she actually sent them after I think Dr. Fate had it. It was just a get out of hell free card.
Yeah.
And whoever has that card on them when they die basically gets to go directly to heaven. You get out of hell for free.
Yeah.
And she wanted that thing, so it's just like she understands the stuff that she's doing is heinous, but in her mind, it needs to be done.
It's for the greater good. And I like that they keep that about her, but I do like that she goes overboard.
Yeah.
And she needed that fucking club to the head to understand you cannot keep sacrificing innocent lives to cover up your shit.
Yeah.
You know? Of course, the people that work for her, they're under NDA. I don't know how many people understand that working for the government or any major corporation, you're signing that NDA if you want to get paid. I had to sign an NDA just to work corporate finance. It fucking locked me out of my career. I couldn't get a job. When you sign an NDA, and this is what I need people to understand, not to take it too far away from the topic, you need to check what you're signing. Youngton didn't think about that. I was like, oh, I'll sign an NDA. I'm going to be with this company forever. Didn't stay with the company forever. Locked myself out. In the business world, if you're out of work for over 2 years and you don't have a daggone good reason and you wasn't like a CEO, getting back into that field is daggone near impossible. So be wary of any NDAs you sign. But for her to act like her people would just turn tail, it is a lot worse to work for the government and go past the NDA. You could disappear. So I don't know why she was so gung on pulling the squad out and not fighting Starro. And I'm hoping that if there's a Suicide 2, which there probably is going to be Suicide 3, yeah. Well, the Suicide
We're going to disavow the first movie completely. Because the thing that I liked about, like the Cal said, with the second movie is it was believable.
Yeah.
This is why you would send this group in. They're doing this covertly because they can't send the Justice League in. Because if the Justice League finds out, this is going to become common knowledge. And while that may be the best team for it, we can't have this stuff getting out.
Yeah.
Where in the first movie, it was freaking Enchantress. I was like, send in the Justice League. Or in the movie, at least show like the little hostages she had magicked up and being transformed. Show part of the Justice League costumes in there. Like, oh, she already took out the Justice League, so we're going to have to send in these assholes.
Yeah.
They didn't do any of that.
No, and it didn't make sense from any perspective at all. And I'm sorry, that there was no Joker in this one.
Yeah.
It didn't need it.
Yeah.
I like that they're starting to show that Harley Quinn can stand on her 2 feet without the Joker, even though one wasn't without the other for the longest time. Every writer that put those two together established that the Joker did not really care about her. He liked that she was devoted to him. He made her his number one hench, but that was it. He seen her as a hench that he could fuck.
Mm-hmm.
And it finally dawned on her that she wanted more than that. She idolized this man, and all he did was abuse her. And I like that she finally realized that, hey, he might have turned me into this, but I'm my own person. Yeah. You know? Her growth is so big that people forget that she wasn't originally a canon character.
Yeah.
They created her for the animated series, and people loved her so much that they put her into the DC universe.
Yeah.
And that made me smile about Harley too. That powerful of a character. And Paul Dini gets all the credit for this.
Mm-hmm.
That people, to this day, if you were born after a certain year, you think Harley Quinn was always a part of the DC universe.
Pretty sure Paul Dini created most of our childhood.
I know. And I loved the animated series. So when I seen that HBO Max gave Harley her own show, I was excited for it. But what I loved about Suicide Squad for real, and the only thing I didn't love, because I'm going to wrap this Suicide Squad up, I loved the rivalry between Captain, what's his name, Captain? The guy John Cena played?
I think it was Captain.
Peacemaker.
It was just Peacemaker.
Peacemaker and Idris Elba's character.
Oh, which he was Bloodsport?
Bloodsport, I think. Or Deadshot.
No, it was It was
I thought
either
it was Deadshot.
no, it wasn't Deadshot. Deadshot is it was
Yeah.
I thought it was because I thought it had the same name as the Vin Diesel character. He played Bloodshot, didn't he?
Maybe.
He played that one indie comic guy that had just nanobots inside him. I thought he had the same name.
Yeah, I honestly thought it was. We
I
gotta
gotta
have to
Google
look
it.
it up. Do the Google.
Everybody, DC and Marvel, need to get together and stop naming characters the same name.
Exactly. And the thing was, I love the rivalry between them, but I was just so excited to see the fight between them, and especially after Peacemaker killed my favorite character.
Bloodsport.
Yeah.
Bloodsport.
Okay, Bloodsport.
And Stallone as King Shark.
Was
Hilarious.
I loved it.
Freaking hilarious.
Because I was trying to pinpoint the voice. I was like, that voice sounds familiar. But it definitely wasn't anybody I knew from voiceover work. And then when I looked it up, I was like, holy crap, it's Sylvester Stallone. It was perfect. Because he's one of those actors that if he says little, it just works. He's like Keanu Reeves. I love Keanu Reeves. But the less he talks, the more badass he is. Hence why I love him so much in John Wick. You know, he's just one of those guys that limited scripts work for him. And I just loved how King Shark would just be like, I got a mustache. And it's like, it's your finger. It was complete comedic relief, and I loved that. But Peacemaker's battle with Bloodsport was so epic. And then I thought, okay, they will kill off major guys that have plot armor.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
And that's how I have a feeling we're going to see the Suicide Squad 2. And if they're smart, they'll keep James Gunn on it because it makes sense. You know? And I loved how the beginning of the movie is technically the end. Because you see them walking in talking about we have to save this asshole, and we didn't know who it was. And then they put it on that weird weasel creature, which is worse.
Yeah,
but
that Weasel, that was the only one that I thought, like, you guys could have done without him.
Yeah. The whole he eats children thing was kind of like... But what I also love was Polka Dot Man's PTSD thing, because I don't think people understand when you have mother issues, it really does fuck with you. And him seeing his mother everywhere was just hilarious.
Yeah.
And I just...
And I love how, like, Bloodsport at the end of it, do you know who that is? What? That's your mom!
You just, I love that character too. And you know that is the magic of James Gunn. He makes you like people that you wouldn't. And I love the actor. Well, he's one of my favorite actors.
Yeah, because he was in Ant-Man and Wasp.
Yeah,
right? He was
Baba Yaga!
But, and that was the thing, like, when this movie started, I could not care less about Polka Dot Man, Ratcatcher, King Shark. I didn't want to know any of the characters. I didn't want to know anything about any of those characters. By the end of the movie, those were my favorite characters.
Yeah.
And that tells you something about a director that can take a character that you know nothing about or very little about, and by the end of the movie have you so rooting for that character to survive what they're going through. Yeah. That's a good movie.
Exactly.
And Suicide Squad, I was the first one, I was just like, please kill all these people.
Exactly. And these were big names. I like Will Smith most of the time.
Yeah.
You know, I like Margot Robbie.
He didn't do that bad of a job though.
With the but I hated the whole premise of it.
But like, yeah, if they would have taken him from that first movie and put him in the second movie,
it
would have been a much better thing, because they kind of did.
They
really,
did.
Though,
with Idris Elba and the girl who played his daughter, I liked their dynamic a lot better too.
I love that fight because you thought it was going to be this heartwarming thing. It's like, Dad, I'm in trouble or nothing, and they're just screaming
at each other about don't get caught.
And it's like, I told you I wasn't going to be that kind of a person to help you out or nothing.
Yeah.
Why did you go and do this? It does other things.
And I don't think people understand when you're raised by somebody who is in that dynamic, whether they want to be or they don't. I unfortunately had the kind of dad that wanted to be in that life. And they tell you to your face that they're not good guys. But you see them as your father. So when you need help, you want to go to them anyway because that's the natural instinct. You go to your dad. But to have your dad like look at you and be like, well, you got caught. What the fuck is wrong with you? It's kind of hard to understand unless you live that life.
Like, if you're more mad that I got caught other than I was trying to steal stuff, what kind of dad are you?
But I literally heard that growing up. You're not in trouble if you don't get caught. And when you have that mindset and you've actually gone on a heist, it fucking changes your mindset. I tell people all the time, the only thing that stops people from actual becoming villains is their personality. I literally had the training to break into houses. I know how to get past most locks and stuff. That's stuff you shouldn't learn as a kid. But when you have people that are in that life, and I can say this now because my dad's dead, so it's not like people can use it against him.
Right.
But it changes your outlook on life. And you see how stupid and useless a lot of this stuff is. I obey laws because for me that was the rebellion against, having people that really didn't care whether you did it or not. And I feel like a lot of the reasons I liked Harley Quinn and I identified a lot more with her, especially after watching the show, is you've seen that in her life too.
Yeah.
You wonder why she worked so hard when she has all of those gymnastic skills. She had a PhD in psychology. She was pushed to do well. She had a father who was really a piece of crap.
Yeah.
And I know people like to tease the whole thing of daddy issues, but they really do exist. And when you have a dad who really should be there for you, but really is there for themselves, it affects your personality. You end up seeking things that you see in other people that might not be there. I understood why Harley fell for the Joker. I understood why she kept taking his bullshit, because I went through it before I found Axiom, And I tell people all the time, what I like about her being with Ivy now is that she found somebody who she can be herself 100% with. Not to spoil the end of season 2 for y'all if you haven't watched it, but if you're still here, we're going to review the whole series.
Yeah, well, season 1 and 2 of that have been out for a while because they're getting ready to do season 3.
Yeah, so and I can't wait for that.
I would like to think that everybody watching, we warned you at the beginning there would be spoilers, so you can't blame us for not warning you. But I would think that most anybody that had watched it, you've had the opportunity to see it or to hear about it. So.
Yeah. And they based it off what's going on in DCU canon. So
I give like a week or 2 weeks after something new comes out for people to watch it. After that, I tell everybody the same thing. If I don't go see the movie within the first 2 weeks, or if I don't get a hold of something within the first 2 weeks of it coming out, then I'm going to get spoilers.
Yeah. Especially in this day and age, everything's digital.
Yeah.
But what I liked about it was, even after she originally breaks up with Joker, and this is season 1 we're focusing on, Harley couldn't escape the whole, I got to get back at him, I got to prove I'm better than him. You always go through that when you come out of an abusive relationship. One of the things that I liked about what I did after leaving my ex was I spent time alone. A lot of people don't do that. They think, I need to move on. I need to show them I still got it, that I'm better than him, that people still want to be with me, or she. A lot of men do that to their ex-girlfriends and stuff too. Y'all don't take time to figure out who you are. And what Harley did was she was constantly trying to get into the Legion of Doom, prove she was better than the Joker. All of her focus was on trying to show him instead of trying to show herself. And I loved how, even though she was scoring wins, she was messing things up around her. And it all came to the head towards the end of season 1, when she finally had the conclusion that I'm winning, but at what cost?
Yeah.
Everything I do has consequences.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing. She wasn't so much trying to prove to herself that she was this kind of person.
She was still trying to impress the Joker. Hey, welcome.
Hey, please. Or we're going to shorten your name to please.
Yeah, please get your corona shot, though. I love your name. Welcome to the chat.
Okay, I didn't think that it wrapped around.
Yeah, that's the problem with the studio.
I look over on mine and I could actually see it.
Yeah. The thing we loved about that development was, not only were the fight scenes amazing, but some of the character development for just like the Justice League and people like freaking Dr. Psycho, who I never really liked in the first place, but he makes me laugh with him. Yeah. I still hate him.
Yeah, he is not a likable character
at all.
At any point, I don't like in the comics, in anything. He is just a jerk.
Yeah, him and Brother Blood are two of the worst Wonder Woman villains ever.
Yeah.
I can't stand it. And I love how they made him like this misogynistic little turd.
Yep.
And he's just so angry and spiteful all the time.
Right.
But he's believable.
Yeah.
And that's the parts about him that I like.
Yeah.
I can't stand him as a character, but I like watching him. Yeah. Because even when he was working with Harley and them, I knew he was going to stab him in the back.
Yeah.
He just gave that vibe that the moment he could, he was going to stab him in the back. And the way he does it is just like, yep, that's
well, it's like when he signs up, he's like, well, no other group will have me. I guess I'll join this group until I can get to a better group.
He's an opportunist.
He's an opportunist. Yeah. And that's, you're not going to go anywhere as an opportunist.
Exactly. And once again, I love King Shark. I liked him in the Suicide Squad, but I love his attitude in this.
I kind of wish, like, in Suicide Squad, they would have given the attitude from the Harley Quinn.
Yeah.
Because it was fun seeing, just lumbering Shark walk around, try to make sense of stuff. Yeah. I think they could have done more jokes with him actually being
intelligent.
Somewhat intelligent.
Yeah, because I love that he's a hacker. I love that he's tech savvy, and he doesn't really do criminal things. He just wants to do his own thing, and sadly, sometimes he gets into trouble, but he's very loyal to his friends.
Yeah.
And I love the actor who plays it. If I say his name with the way my accent is, it's going to sound like I'm calling him the F word. But he is a very talented comedian, and I just love what he brings to the King Shark character. And then Clayface. Clayface gets on my nerves. Yeah. I'm going to say it right now. He's over the fucking top, but he's funny. And I find myself angrily laughing at his character.
The thing about him is he reminds me of, like, every character that, like Roger on American Dad.
Yeah.
He's that third-party character that is just like,
I would strangle you if I could.
I want to draw attention to myself, and this is how I'm going to do it. And it's like, you're telling you exactly what you need to do, and you're going 110% the other way with it. Why are you doing this? Because I have
an attention need.
Well, it's the attention need because I have a process.
Yeah,
that needs to be gone through.
He's got attention.
Do my process.
He's over the fucking top.
Yeah, and it's just like, it's crazy because it's like, that's not Clayface to me.
No, because the animated series had Clayface kind of like King Shark's personality.
I grew up with Ron Perlman Clayface.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I forgot about how that he was the one that did that. He was just so silent, and like, if you've seen Clayface, he was killing you.
Yeah. Because
he wanted to take your personality. So, I mean, I like the new Clayface because I hate him, but I shouldn't hate the character as much as I do. But then
the whole scene and thing where he loses his hand at the crime scene, and it turns into like a little baby, and it's Tom Kenny doing the voice. Sounds almost exactly like SpongeBob.
Yeah,
like, exactly. And he's talking to Gordon, Gordon was played by
Christopher Maloney.
I love Christopher Maloney.
Me too.
Every time he takes on a role, I was like, how is this going to be good?
Yes.
But him taking on like just a drunk and...
I thought it was the guy who played Archer for a bit because of the way he acts.
Drunk and undermined cop just at the end of his rope. He wants validation, but no one will give him validation.
Exactly. Which is the complete opposite of how he is in the comics. Most people trust and respect James Jordan. But in this, he is just like treated like crap.
Yeah.
No matter how much he cares about the city or what he does, people just don't have respect for him.
Yeah, it was just like the end of season 1 or partway through season 1, where they were giving keys to the city to everybody.
That was partway through. I think it was towards season 2, actually.
And he was just like, he's sitting there waiting to get his key because he like took the city back from the villains and everything, and the mayor goes, and this last key goes to me because I made all this possible.
Yeah.
The mayor got them. And he's like, what? He's like, you didn't do. We saw you at the beginning, and this is the second time we've actually seen you, son of a.
It was hilarious, and the one character that I begrudgingly say warmed up on me was a character I was not expecting to, and that's Kite Man. Kite Man didn't make sense. It still doesn't fucking make sense. He is complete bro.
Is he actual canon though, or do they just make him up for the show?
No, he is a literal Batman rogue. He makes absolutely no sense. The only reason why I still knew about him was because I watched the creator on YouTube, I Hate Everything. He does movie and other reviews, and he uses Kite Man to show how much he hates him.
Did Batman just like laugh at him the entire time?
I would love to think so.
Because I would love to see like Joker get like really ticked off at Kite Man. It's like, how did you make the Bat laugh? See what else Kite Man?
He is legit a villain. And it makes no fucking sense because he has no powers whatsoever. He just has a giant kite.
Yeah.
But he takes himself so seriously.
If you're going to have Kite Man, and like you said, my arch nemesis, the Condiment King. And I was just like, I love that the Condiment King is an actual thing.
Yeah.
And I think he was more of a serious villain back in the 66 Batman.
Yeah.
Because I think that's where that one came from, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The Condiment King and
the Egyptian guy, and it was
the
just
guy that had like the polished head that was
Quilt Man. There's literally a quilt bad guy too.
Yeah, I want like people move to Gotham so that they have an excuse to lose their mind.
Yeah, pretty much. It's like New York, I swear.
Like everybody that would go crazy and be a villain in Metropolis would just like, no, we better go to Gotham. This guy's too good.
What killed me about Kite Man though is every time I started to warm up to him, and especially after you started dating Poison Ivy, he would talk.
Yeah.
And he is the kind of guy that the moment he talks, you just want to punch his face in.
Yeah.
He's such a douche.
It's like after he says something nice and sweet, he immediately says something that shows that he's kind of a douchebag.
He really is.
And it was just like, why? Why didn't you just stop at the last sentence?
Exactly.
We were starting to warm up. We were starting to like you. Why did you continue to voice an opinion?
Exactly.
Say the sweet thing and then shut up.
And he couldn't. And I love that in season 2 especially, show why he's the way he is. He's very insecure because both of his parents are superpowered and they belittle him. And they completely treated him like trash. And it was one of the last, probably one of the last roles for, oh my gosh, the mother who played Archer and on Arrested Development.
Yeah,
I'm blanking on her name. Oh, I hate that. I'm sorry, y'all. But yeah, and I love that she was just so tough as nails and just belittling of him, and it made you feel kind of sorry for him. But what made me go from completely hating him is that final realization that I love Ivy, but she doesn't love me. Yeah, that's such a simple name, Jessica Walter.
Yeah, because you know what, I see it when we're watching Archer, and I see the name on the beginning credits for the show. Yeah. I see Jessica Walter, and I think Jennifer Walters
from She-Hulk,
and I think She-Hulk, and I don't know why I blanked on the name like that.
But the thing that got me about Kite Man finally realizing it was like, dude, every time you said you loved her, she hard pass road you.
Yeah.
Every time you asked her to marry you, you had to do it 3 times before four times. Yeah. She was like, yeah, no. You finally get to the point of your wedding, and there's literally a sex tape with your fiance and her best friend. And you were still going to go through with it till almost the end. And then you realize, I love her, but she doesn't love me. And I love the fact that he was like, nope, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to force you to commit yourself to me when you're not feeling it.
Right.
So you kind of, it wasn't that I even felt bad. I actually felt good that he finally grew up.
Yeah.
And I don't know where they're going to take him in season 3 or if they're even going to bring him back. They're probably going to bring him back. He's comic relief. But I'm hoping that he develops a bit better.
I'd like to see them develop the character to a serious point. To the thing of like he's actually like pulling off being a villain.
Yeah.
You know, because I love the fact that they gave Joker a normal personality.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
And that he actually developed a relationship with this lady and her 2 kids.
Yeah.
And then even after getting turned back into the Joker, he's like, wow, I actually like her.
Yeah.
It's like
I love awesome. That instead of wanting, because I was waiting for Joker to be like, well, I can just kill the kids and have her. No. He literally said, I have reasons to kill now for them.
Yeah.
So he views himself as their dad.
Yeah. Yeah, because it was
amazing.
Last time or before, I didn't have any good reasons to kill. Now I do.
Yeah. He's twisting it, obviously.
How are you going to twist that into a positive thing? How does that even sound like a positive thing?
In the Joker's world, you know? I just love the way they've gone off the rails for what we thought about these characters, but still kept them true to themselves. The Joker isn't going to stop being the Joker. It's just there's more layers to his personality than a lot of people like touching upon. Too many people take his character and think, oh, we just got to F stuff up. There's no nuance to it. He's just a deranged guy. And then some people want to only focus on the mental health aspect and make him sympathetic. But the thing about sociopaths is we know what we're doing. We just detach ourselves from the things that we don't want to think about. Don't get scared.
No.
I see you
No,
get
I
quiet.
didn't lean this way like I did last time.
Yeah.
Like trying to get away.
What I'm liking about some of these things showing the Joker, you gotta hurt yourself, is that they capture his sociopathic tendencies in a realistic way. And I love the way the animated series did it because it kind of reminded me of Heath Ledger's Joker.
Mm-hmm.
The Joker's a smart person. He is one of the only Bat villains that Batman legitimately respects. Because while he doesn't like what the Joker does, there's a science behind a lot of stuff that he does. He is chaos and anarchy, but even he does it to further a goal. And even when the goal is just to show off, he's still doing it in a controlled chaotic way. And I like that. And I like the dynamic with him and his henches.
It's kind of like the I'm blanking on the I had it for a second there.
The Killing Joke?
No. It's kind of like the
Battle Lab?
No.
Sorry, I was trying to help you.
I know, it was just like you're throwing more stuff up there and I can't keep it straight. Well, yeah, the Bat Who Laughs is actually a pretty good reference for that, but it's kind of like the was it like the trickster in that? Not the trickster, the comedian.
Yeah.
Where he saw how humanity was, and it became a parody of it. Joker's kind of like the same way.
Yeah.
Like he views it as a joke. He's like, it's not something like this is gonna work. This is only gonna work out one way. But he tries to be a parody of it. And when he saw Batman, I think that kind of gave him like, okay, I'm gonna be the parody of this.
Yeah.
You know, there's not people that he hates. It's the weird rules of society that he's
which is one
raging against.
Yeah, it's one of the things about sociopathy that I wish more people understood. I hate social norms. Like to a point that most people who friend me don't understand. If you want me to hang out, I might try to force it, but I'm not going to enjoy it. I don't like small talk, and I know a lot of people are like, oh, you're an introvert. No, it goes deeper than that. When we started dating, I was afraid he was going to break up with me because I am extreme. What I have now, especially due to the pandemic, is perfection for me. I don't have to deal with people. I don't have to see people. Everything is digital and on my terms because I cannot stand the forced things that society puts us through. And a lot of that is my sociopathy, along with probably introversion. But it goes a lot deeper than that. Love for me is a weird thing. I know I love Axiom. I know I love my kids. But I love them to the point where I would probably kill if somebody fucked themselves. I've made that clear a few times.
I was really worried about how the end of that sentence was going to go after kill.
No.
There was a part of me, you guys didn't see it, but my feet tried to move so that I can make that quick dash out that window.
But once I'm done with a person, I am completely done. I don't have that emotional tie. That cutoff switch is done. I move on. And I've ended friendships with people who couldn't understand it. I've ended relationships with people who couldn't understand it. It really is like a shut-off switch for me. I'm done with you. You provide no more joy, usefulness. I don't have any feeling toward you. I don't want to waste my time. And I didn't understand why I was like that for the longest time until the doctor diagnosed me with sociopathy. And I think people don't understand that about the Joker. As long as he gets amusement from something, as long as he finds value in it or he can use it, they're fine. But once he has no tie to it, it's as good as dead to them.
Yeah.
And if he can make it dead, even better.
But yeah, you saw that in one of the animated episodes. They actually had it where Batman was like, I know how to stop him. Just make a point that he's not going to make the point he wants to make with it.
Yeah.
And he actually like talking to Batman. He goes, you know what? This isn't fun for me anymore. He just drops his weapon and he walks away.
Yeah. Once it's pointless, once we get no feeling towards it. And it's a lot of feeling based on it. That's why I need people to learn the difference between the sociopath and the psychopath. We feel things. We just decide whether it's worth our time or energy or effort. And once it's boring, that's it. We don't want to deal with it no more. That's it. Whether it's work, relationship, learning stuff, once that drive is gone, we drop it. And I like when people understand that about Joker. A lot of people don't. They just think, oh, he's chaos and energy. He's got to be flashy. One of the problems I had with several portrayals of him is that they go for like extreme aspects without understanding why. If he's not getting pleasure from those extremes, if he's not seeing the funny in it, he's not going to do it. He's not just going to beat the fuck out of Harley Quinn just because he can. I just hate that a lot of people don't get those nuances of it.
Yeah, well, you got that, and Heath Ledger did the best Joker.
Yeah.
I mean, Jack Nicholson's is right up there, but Heath Ledger's Joker, the fact that he keeps changing how he got the scars on his face to fit who he's dealing with.
Yeah.
And you can see it. He reads people, and he picks a story that is going to emotionally connect to that person.
Yep.
For that story. And
to just manipulate them.
Yeah, it's just a manipulation for him because that's what he did the whole time through it. He had literally all the money. Money doesn't mean anything to him.
Yep.
It became a point of contention with him that why am I doing this? Well, if you don't understand why I'm doing this, then you're not going to understand why I'm doing this.
Exactly.
He's not going to explain himself to you.
No, he doesn't want people in his head. And he tells lies. They kept that in the Harley Quinn series too. Yeah. And I love that Ivy was the one that exposed that he used her story to trick Harley.
Yeah.
He made up a whole thing about a pet ferret, and it was a lie that he stole from Ivy. And I loved Ivy in this series. I'm looking forward to season 3 because they keep mislabeling Poison Ivy as a villain.
Yeah.
And she never really was a villain. She's an eco-terrorist.
Yeah.
She's always been about protecting the Earth.
Would you be an eco-terrorist or would she be a Planeteer?
I think either way.
In her eyes, she would be like a Captain Planet supporter.
Her whole thing is she will protect the Earth by any means. And she's like the Captain Planet from Adult Swim.
Oh, the
from Robot Chicken.
Planet Tina.
Yeah, or my favorite.
Yeah, the Don Cheadle.
Yeah.
Captain Planet. Tree.
Or like I said, Robot Chicken. Protect the Earth or I'll fucking kill you. Captain
that was
Planet.
That was just Ted Turner.
I love that though.
I love it. Yeah. That guy walks in and sees him putting on that blue makeup and he's just like, my favorite. I'm out.
Yeah. Not below my pay grade. About face. Yeah. But that was Poison Ivy's whole thing, and a lot of people don't get that right either. They're like, oh, she's a villain. One of the reasons I loved it in Batman the Animated Series is they kept reminding people, even when she teamed up with Harley, that besides doing like little bad girl capers with Harley, she never really tries to do anything to harm people. You know, even when she realized her powers could seduce men, she used it to target men who polluted, CEOs whose companies caused damage to the environment. She wasn't one of those people that are just like, oh, I've got to attack just to be attacked, but she would fight back. And that's why she kept getting put in Arkham instead of just jail.
Yeah.
You know,
well, even the one episode where she had that health club, she was turning people into trees to replace the trees that were being destroyed elsewhere. She didn't go out and blow something up just to blow something up, which is like what half the people in Gotham were doing.
Yeah. So I love that people are finally, hey, Drew, welcome to the chat. I love that people are finally understanding characters like her because I was a big Pamela Anderson. I think just exclamation point true. Got my shout outs working, yay! But I just like the fact that we see how these animated and movies are finally starting to take these characters that we've loved since beyond the animated series. Greg has a ton of DC comics. I have a lot of my favorites. The only things that I didn't really like is like the switcheroo where Batman and Catwoman should have got married. And I'm loving Catwoman in the Harley Quinn series. Not just because they went with Eartha Kitt's model,
Right.
but because of her attitude. That is how Selena Kyle is. She is good at what she does. And she will use the heck out of people to get what she needs. But they kept her with Batman too. You
Yeah.
notice that?
Yeah.
They're not mutually exclusive yet, because that's always been their thing.
Right.
But I think in every source material, people see the inevitable.
Yeah, well, that's the thing that ticked me off though with DC was that whole we're gonna build up the Catwoman and Batman getting married, and then they were like, no, we're not gonna.
Exactly.
I was like, come on, that is something that we've been wanting for a while. You could have
Since we were kids.
at least put them together as a married thing, even if you were gonna separate them later on. Give them a few comics of them being together.
Yeah.
You know, the whole.
We've been waiting over freaking 70 years for this, man.
Yeah, the whole, like, we're going to build this up only to not have it happen. I was like, give the people something. Like, give them some kind of happiness for a little bit.
Yeah. But they.
A nice little intermission between being screwed over and being taken advantage of.
Yeah. But they don't like doing that. And I am worried that somebody else, because most of the original Batman writers are now gone, they're gonna bring him back to Talia. And I get that they have Damian together, but they were not a good couple.
No, and the whole thing with that was she didn't.
It was rapey.
Yeah, she didn't tell him about that.
The whole scene.
She took advantage of that situation to create Damian for the purpose of, hey, I'm going to try to emotionally manipulate you now.
Yeah.
Ziana loves your little.
Hey, I love that. He got me that emote, and it's one of my favorites.
I was on Etsy, and they just one of them popped up. Actually, there was a Mew on there that popped up holding a gun. And
that one.
I showed it to her, and she was just like, "Ooh," and I was like, "You like that, huh?" And then I saw the one with the heart, and she really lit up on that one. So
that and Kirby with a knife, because I love
Kirby,
and I love
knife too.
But what I liked about the whole Selena and Bruce thing is it makes sense. They are polar opposites, but they are the exact same way in their methodology and just attitude.
Yeah.
I love that Batman keeps his arrogance, though I'm kind of getting tired of the whole Bruce doesn't make friends, because we all know that's BS.
Yeah.
Bruce makes friends. He's just not the goodest friend you can have.
I like the fact that they got Dietrich.
Dietrich Bader?
Yeah, from Brave and the Bold.
Yeah.
Batman's voice in the Harley Quinn show. I thought that was great.
He does a good voice, and he does the character justice.
Yeah, and you can tell there's a difference. He did the same thing that Kevin Conroy did.
Yeah, I thought it was Kevin Conroy at first, and I was like, no, it sounds a little different.
Yeah, you can tell the difference between
the
Batman voice and the Bruce Wayne voice. They actually did, what was the one guy that did Lego Batman?
That was Will Arquette.
Will Arquette, yeah. He does it a little bit like Will Arquette does too, and I love the fact that like Will Arquette though he just never changed it when it was Bruce Wayne. He didn't.
He did sometimes, but the attitude was still the same.
Yeah,
and I think that's what Dietrich Bader does too. He keeps that spoiled rich, like he never really grew up, and he totally depended on Alfred. Yeah. And I love this Alfred. I'm a big Alfred fan. For those of y'all who don't know, I love that Alfred Pennyworth was military trained, became a butler, and is basically Bruce's surrogate dad. And everything Bruce has, moral-wise, I think he got from Alfred. And he is a very hard character to mess up, but Lord knows people have tried.
Right.
And
the fact too that like he'll actually he'll look at Batman and be like, "I changed your diaper. You are not going to intimidate me with anything."
Exactly. And when he says you're not doing something, he's the one person that Bruce still listens to.
Yeah.
You know, if he says you're not going out tonight, fine. I love that dynamic, and I love that this show kept that dynamic in. There's just so much to love about DC Universe when people who actually love the IP write these things. And that's what I want to see more of. You can have fun and make fun of stuff and still make it make sense. One of my favorite Harley Quinn episodes of season 2 was when they were making fun of the gatekeepers.
Yeah.
That big dude that was like, I don't want to see this is just cuck stuff. This is gonna be feminism shoved down our throat. And it's like, dude, just chill.
Yeah.
And he knew more about the show because they secretly watch it than most people. But they have to show that they hate anything female because they can't touch a female. And I love that you're not an incel, dear. I'll touch you later. My thing my thing is they made fun of a lot of stuff, but they made a lot of touchy stuff too. The whole Mr. Freeze thing.
Yeah. That I was not prepared for. I was really hoping they weren't going to make they made Bane just a punch.
He's a puncher
but
bag.
I was really worried they were going to do that with Mr. Freeze, and they didn't. They did like a really, really touching story with it. And I was just like, wow, this hits right in the feels.
It does. I was shocked because everything else was like comedic relief.
Yeah.
And even to a certain extent, Mr. Freeze was coming across like, okay, they're gonna freaking make him slapstick. But no, he really loved his wife.
Yeah.
And I'm using past tense. Sorry if it's a spoiler. And it was just so touching. But that was the whole thing with Mr. Freeze too. Yeah, he was a villain, but he didn't want to be. All he wanted to do was save her life.
Yeah, but that's the thing is like a lot of people forget that in Gotham, yeah, you have a lot of villains, but then you have people that are considered villains, but they have a purpose for it. They're not just out there to try to hurt people. They're trying to put something right that went wrong in their lives.
Yeah.
But they're going about it the complete wrong way of doing it.
Exactly. And it reminded me of Batman, the animated series too, because that was his whole motivation.
Yeah.
That's why Bruce was never so rough with him, because he realized he's just trying to figure out how to save his wife's life.
Yeah.
And I just thought that was so touching the way they did that. It was funny tragic, but it was still tragic the way they handled it. Yeah. And I love that his wife is still around.
Yeah, I like the fact that like we're probably going to get to see like a Mrs. Freeze thing maybe.
And the Penguin is gone in this series. Good riddance. I can't stand him. I've never liked the Penguin. I just felt like
I like Danny DeVito.
Yeah, I did like Danny DeVito's Penguin. He was one of the few. I just feel like he doesn't make sense. Yeah, you were bullied and
he's making a comment based off his character. The anniversary's coming up, so yeah.
Okay.
I thought that was kind of neat.
I mean, I get it. Being mocked and being deformed can twist somebody's personality, but he was just such an asshole in the Harley Quinn series that when she took him out, I was happy. Mm-hmm. I was like, yeah, he's gone. And he already bred Penguin 2, Electric Boogaloo. That little son of a bitch. Yeah, he's next on there. I know that for everybody that's gone, there's going to be a replacement.
Coming back,
yeah. But it was just a good series, and I am looking forward to season 3. The only other show that I've been waiting and looking forward to season 3 is The Orville. And that's because of you. I mean, I wasn't going to watch it at first because Seth MacFarlane, he either gets me for a bit or he gets on my nerves. Yep. There are times where I can take him, and there's times where I don't want to watch anything he makes. Orville is really good. It's done well.
I love the attitude on there because it's like Star Trek, but better. They do make fun of the stuff on there. Like there's the episode where Lourdes comes on. He's like, "I'm going to lay an egg and I need some time off." Goes, wow, you lay eggs? And he goes, yes. I need like 27 days or whatever off for it. And then he meets up with like his best friend who pilots the ship, and he goes, "Did you know that they lay eggs?" Yeah, it's like that's the kind of stuff that like in Star Trek they wouldn't have addressed it. It would just been like, yeah, that's what happens, and we're gonna move on.
Yeah, it's just common knowledge.
The Alpha Gamma Quadrant Apollo system over there because they have a star that's about to go nova, and they gotta help them out. And then you wouldn't have gotten it back to it, but they actually made him sitting on the egg like the biggest part of the story.
Yeah, and I love Isaac's journey so far because he went from believing that his kind could be unfeeling and that's it. They're just calculated and methodical, and everything he does is for study. And I feel like he is going to evolve into a fully sentient.
He's actually one of the more human characters on the show.
Exactly.
You know, and I love the fact when him and the pilot do practical jokes to each other.
Yeah.
And he wakes up without his leg, and he goes, "I have hidden it aboard the ship." Ha ha. And then later on, the guy is like really
Freaked out at first.
Like, that is just sick. That is just sick, man. And then later on, they're in the infirmary together, and he goes, "Damn, that's not the best practical joke I've ever seen."
Yeah. And I think the thing I'm most looking forward to is just seeing where they go, because they left on such a good thing. My only thing that I had a problem with was the doctor's character, because I'm sorry, black moms do not let their kids talk to them like that.
Please.
I don't know. Nope. I'm telling you.
We were watching it, okay, and her son told her to shut up. I felt the room get colder. And it wasn't even her kid doing it. And I was just like, and then I heard the Exorcist music in the background, and I was just like, I see dead people.
Because I was just waiting for her to, like, at least fully scold him within the inch of his life.
Didn't do anything.
No.
When he said "shut up, mom," or he might even said the F word, I can't remember because I blocked it out because I got so scared.
Yeah.
I was just like, no way, man, because I would never, in all seriousness, I'll say stuff like that to my mom, but she knows I'm joking.
I never even, and I don't like my mom. I've never even joked with my mom like that.
If I ever seriously looked at my mom or my dad and said, "shut up" or "shut the F up," I would wake up 2 weeks later wondering where 2 weeks of my life went, because they would knock me the fuck out.
Yeah.
And it didn't happen there. And I was just like, this show has been pretty realistic so far up until this point.
Up until that point, because, like, I love Kiddo. Everybody knows I love my son. He made the mistake when we had to clean his room last year of having one of my charms, which a Sailor Moon charm at that, in the room. And he said to me, in all seriousness, even though he was shaking his head like, "Stop talking, don't say anything," you weren't using it.
That happened in regular time for her. To me, it was in slow motion because I was sitting there just picking stuff up because he had a mess in there. And I heard him say it in slow motion as I was turning around to be like, "Go say anything."
Now, I don't know if most of y'all have probably seen Terminator 2, where homeboy's talking on the phone and pretending to be his mother, and the arm reaches out and it's a knife. My arm jetted out, grabbed him almost around his throat, but I controlled the rage.
Yeah.
But I scared him. He still to this day will not get too close to me because of how scared he was.
He was not. And I was just sitting there. I was, "Don't say anything. Don't say anything."
It was a complete oh shit moment.
Do that thing you do when you shut down and just look at us like we're deer on the street and you've never seen a deer before. Just don't say anything. And then he started to talk, and I was just like,
because I don't feel it, but most people have seen it. When I hit that level of rage where the eyes snap open and Tin's gone, it's just complete chaos in charge now. And that happened. And the kid now, I asked her jokingly the other night, I was like, "Would that be you?" Because we was watching some kid smart mouth. He was like, "No, you'll kill me." Just point blank quick. So it's like he's trained now.
Yeah. He learned.
He learned.
That's the good part. He's malleable because he will learn and just slow at doing it.
Yeah. And that's the thing, that's the only issue I have with the Orvillas. Y'all need to work on how you have a black mom work, especially two boys.
Yeah.
I know that we're tough with girls too, but with sons, it's that extra added. My son's already bigger than me. So, yeah, having him respect that I will end his life is just par for the course. I'm not really going to do it, but as long as he believes that, he stays in line.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And I think a lot of people think, "Oh, you got to hit him." No, I don't.
You don't have to. It's just every so often, I don't know. I don't remember being this way as a teen. It's every so often he tries to buck up and be like, "Well, I can tell you what to do." It's like, no, you can't.
And if he realizes that he steps over the line, especially, all I got to do is give him a look now. And if I look at him, he's like, "I'm sorry." So
it's funny.
Yeah.
I try not to laugh at it when it happens, but I will like leave the room because it's just like it got silent, and then he realizes, oh, it's like that. It's like that sound alert, and that's when he realized he fucked up.
And that's what I want to see. I want to see more realistic portrayals of how we are. We need more diversity, and we'll be talking more about that in follow-up cast. But I want to thank you all for joining us for this one. Next week we will be on Axion's
It's going to be
channel.
on my channel, and I'm going to force her to watch He-Man on Netflix.
I'm looking forward to it, though. It's done by one of our favorite directors, Kevin Smith, so I'm sure he's going to do a good job, because we love He-Man.
We've been waiting for the series the complete season 1.
Yeah.
So I'm fairly certain it's completely done by now. So we're gonna go ahead and watch that, or at least check it out.
Yeah.
Because that's what we did with Loki.
Yeah, Loki
was
really
completely done, and then we watched it all in just one sitting.
Yep. So I am looking forward to that, and we will be back next week. For now, we are gonna wrap it up. Go make dinner. If any of our friends are on later, you'll see us in the chat. We've been loving watching y'all streams and stuff.
Or you may not.
And we might lurk. It just depends, But for now, I'm going to go feed him, keep him calm. He's so crazy. And thank you so much for tuning in. And look, I don't talk about racism and the stream doesn't drop.
This is the weird thing. Like, right before we were getting ready to go live, the internet went out. Yeah. And I just got done talking. They're sending us a new modem. Internet went out, so I had to unplug the modem, unplug the router. We didn't have a single connection issue.
Yeah.
I'm going to go live for Mario Monday, and I guarantee I'm going to be plagued with at least 3 disconnects. And it's like,
hopefully
2 to 5 days.
Yeah.
2 to 5 days we got to wait to fix this problem.
Yep. But thank you all. We're going to wrap it up, and we will see y'all in a bit.
Yeah, and I'm going to throw my link for next week's in the chat. It's just
Wolf. Yep. And I have one for Zai. She was in the chat too. XY. And I do. Yep. I believe that's it.
The shout outs work.
Yay! Do you see you guys and girls and everybody else in between? Next week, we love y'all.
Well, quite fun.